and welcome to Glasgow. We'll just let the few, it's almost standing room only, we'll just let the rest of the delegation come through. There are quite a few seats at the front here, so please do feel free to come down. So good morning, my name is Alex Mackay, and it is an honour to be here today on this really, really special day, this really special event in the industry. So thank you to Dave and the team here for inviting me to have a part in today. Now I can promise you that the team here did not organise a fire alarm test today. So if you hear the fire alarm, we do need to make our way out of the building, back to the car park, and we will be guided by CPI staff. So please keep that in mind. Now today, we have a really good agenda for you. You are going to hear about the significance of the Medicines Manufacturing Innovation Centre from a number of speakers who are far better placed than myself and far more knowledgeable than myself to explain the role of the facility in the industry. So we've got some speakers for you today, and we also will have a panel discussion which will involve our key partners that have been involved in the Medicines Manufacturing Innovation Centre for ages now, who will share their insight on the role of the facility and their experience of working with it. And then we've got Frank Miller to wrap up the day. And then you will all have the opportunity not only to have lunch, but to have a tour around the facility, which I highly recommend. So when it comes to the role of the Medicines Manufacturing Innovation Centre, you're going to hear just what that means for the industry from some of our esteemed speakers today. But what we do know is back in 2017, the Industrial Strategy for Life Sciences made it crystal clear how important manufacturing was for the future of the industry. But I think there's something else about this particular facility, about having an innovation centre for medicines manufacturing. And that's for the people in the industry, the people like you who are innovating. Because when it comes to the end point or the end state of an innovation, a new product or a new process, that end state, that vision is rarely controversial. Many people, many organisations will absolutely be aligned on the principle of doing things better. But things start getting a lot more challenging and trickier when you start looking at the practice of innovation and what that looks like on a day-to-day basis. Because it is full of setbacks, awkward questions, unknowns, and failures. And that can be really tough. It goes against our human nature to enter into the unknown. And especially in an industry or large organisations that have a foundation, that are built, their operations are built from a foundation of compliance, ethical standards, and the highest scientific and technical standards. To start doing new things and going away from that, that is really tough. That can be really uncomfortable. So innovation in our industry needs space. It needs a space where that practice of innovation can really take off, with capacity built in to address and to accommodate setbacks and failures and unknown things that you couldn't possibly have anticipated that would perhaps come up. And it also needs a culture that embraces all those setbacks and failures and uncomfortable conversations and embraces it for what it is, the practice of innovation. And I think that's what we've got today for our industry in the Medicines Manufacturing Innovation Centre. It's not just the manufacturing, but it's this space for the practice of innovation. And I'll tell you something else we get with the Medicines Manufacturing Innovation Centre. And that is a leadership team that has the vision, but also the experience of making that change happen and what that feels, looks and sounds like on a daily basis. And when it comes to the leadership team, that brings me on very nicely to our first speaker. So our first speaker today, who is going to properly welcome you to the facility and introduce our first couple of speakers. Actually, this year marks his 30th year in the industry, his pearl anniversary, if you will, or as he would like to refer to it, his calcium carbonate anniversary. He spent many of those years at GSK, from site director to VP primary supply chain to head of GMS strategy. But in November 2018, the UK government announced his appointment as the managing director of the brand new Medicines Manufacturing Innovation Centre. And Dave, back then you said that you were really excited to have the chance to create a transformative strategy for life sciences in the UK. A strategy that avoids waste, reduces costs and makes medicines more affordable and ultimately more accessible. To introduce our first couple of speakers and to hear from Dave what today means for that very worthy mission, I would like you to welcome Dave Tudor to the stage.
Alex, thank you very much for those very kind words of introduction. I thought we'd agreed not to mention the 30 years. I thought I did start when I was very young. Listen, let me extend a very sunny, if not so warm, welcome to here in Glasgow to the Medicines Manufacturing Innovation Centre. We're hugely excited about today's event, and I trust and I'm sure you will have a great day and you'll enjoy. A special welcome to Minister Lamont and Minister McKee for joining us today to give ministerial addresses. A special welcome to all of our partners and guests here today in the centre. And of course, we have some 100 odd so people registered online, and we are streaming the event live today. I wanted to take a minute or two just to reflect on the mission of MMIC. The MMIC, or the Medicines Manufacturing Innovation Centre, the mission that we have is ambitious, it is worthy, and it is adventurous. And I will say more about that after the ministerial address. Our belief is that we can and we will transform today's pharmaceutical manufacturing technology processes and methodologies, allowing for the production of more sustainable medicine at a price that everyone can afford. That's the mission. That's what we're here to try and do. We're trying to change the paradigm of some of the old-fashioned, 100-plus-year-old manufacturing processes that we have, whilst at the same time being ambitious in some of the new advanced therapy processes that are there and making them really fit for purpose for the mass and for the global population. If we can achieve that together, if industry, governments, academics, technology companies, pharma companies, if we can work together, then who doesn't want to be part of that? Everybody wins. The patient wins, the economy wins, the industry win, the academics win. Everybody wins on that mission, and that's why it's a very important statement. We have an amazing technology mission here at the Medicines Manufacturing Innovation Centre, but we're also here to transform place. I'm delighted that we're based and located here at the Advanced Manufacturing Innovation District here in Scotland. I'm delighted that we are, not that we're competitive with NMIS, but our neighbours across the road. It's good that we are first to open. I'm sure they will be following very quickly, and I'm sure I'll get some feedback from that from Sir Jim MacDonald over lunch. But it's great to be here in this AMIDS site. And our ambition, our mission, but together with NMIS and with the whole ecosystem, is to create this particular park into a globally recognised science park, an international beacon for science translation and for inward investment within the UK. My final point before I hand over to Minister Lamont is that the medicines manufacturing mission that I've just described perfectly aligns with both the UK and the Scottish Government Life Sciences strategy, where manufacturing, the return on manufacturing from the great innovation we have is an important part of that. And the medicines manufacturing has a significant role to play. I'm delighted that we've got both ministers here today, and I'd like to first of all introduce John Lamont, the Parliament Under Secretary of State for Scotland within the UK Government, to say a few words. Thank you, John.
Well, thank you, Dave, and good morning, ladies and gentlemen. And may I begin by saying what a pleasure it is to be here at the Medicines Manufacturing Innovation Centre at the start of something of huge significance for the life sciences sector and for the United Kingdom as a whole. And I don't want to take anything away from anyone else, but the work that will take place here seems every bit as complex as, well, rocket science. Now, there ought to be a prize for simply being able to pronounce oligonucleotides, which I've been practicing all morning, but I just about got it out. I was very impressed during our tour this morning, the ease and frequency at which our tour guide was able to say that word. Just as the manufacturing undertaking here will bring together a wide range of processes to create something greater than the sum of its parts, so the Centre draws together a series of partners to generate something very unique. And unique not just to Britain, ladies and gentlemen, but also around the world. I'm delighted to say that the United Kingdom Government has put its innovation strategy into action right here between the Black Cart and the White Cart rivers, cheek by jowl with Glasgow Airport and the key M8 road artery. We see around us the £88 million of fruit of collaboration and common purpose, led by CPI, the Centre for Process Innovation, with UK Research and Innovation, Scottish Enterprise, the University of Strathclyde, and industry partners AstraZeneca, GSK, Pfizer, PwC, Siemens, and Novartis. That synergy has gathered together industry, academia, regulators, and the government to help convert brilliant ideas into practical products that will help extend people's lifespans and their all-important well-span, the time they have in good health. There are many hurdles to clear on the difficult road, which leads from a theoretical discovery to a tried and tested product ready for the commercial marketplace. The Centre here is help on that road. I'm delighted that the UK Government has injected £22 million in the facility here and a further £6 million for research, making us a key partner in this remarkable endeavour. A glance out of the giant windows here reminds us that the Centre is part of the wider Advanced Manufacturing Innovation District. We are right next door to the striking National Manufacturing Institute Scotland, which is driving new thinking in the broader production sector. Collectively, this is the Netherton campus, which is itself a bold vision, joining together people in state-of-the-art jobs with the communities which sustain them and their families. Again, the UK Government has played a full role. We have invested £16.9 million via the Glasgow City deal for the Glasgow Airport Investment Area project, which includes new roads, bridges, cycle routes and pedestrian footpaths to improve access to this advanced manufacturing innovation district. And there's a further £38.7 million from the UK Government's Levelling Up Fund to improve travel links to Paisley with its key rail link. Ladies and gentlemen, the first industrial revolution was ushered in by James Watt, who hailed from just down the Clyde in Greenock. We are here today on the cusp of a different revolution, one which will transform lives around the globe as we tap into scientific advances to improve health, conquering illness and life-limiting conditions, easing suffering and boosting well-being. The Medicines Manufacturing Innovation Centre is at the forefront of that revolution, delivering breakthroughs in manufacturing, allowing the United Kingdom to bring cutting-edge medicines to mass market more rapidly. It is an essential component of the UK life sciences industry, which is one of the powerhouses of Scotland and the wider United Kingdom economy. Britain has led the world in innovation before, and I believe will do so again. The centre will, I am certain, be a huge part of that success story. I'm now going to hand over to my colleague, Nusrat Ghani MP. She is the Minister for Industry and Investment Security. Unfortunately, she is unable to be with us today in person, but she has recorded a short video message to mark the opening of the centre. I would also like to apologise, and I'm not going to be able to stay for the duration of the day, as I'm speaking in the House of Commons later on this afternoon. But I'm going to leave you now with my colleague, Nusrat. Thank you very much.
Good morning, everyone. I'm sorry that I cannot join you in person today to mark the launch of the Medicines Manufacturing Innovation Centre, but I'm delighted to record this short message of support, having been reappointed as Minister responsible for life sciences, one of the UK's truly great success stories. This is an important role for me personally because when I worked in the charity sector, I saw firsthand the scale of the task we face battling diseases like breast cancer and dementia. It is why your work and the promise of this facility is so important if we are to address the most pressing healthcare challenges of our time. Therefore, it gives me great pleasure to congratulate Dave Tudor and the CPI team who have worked so hard to achieve this milestone. And can I also express my gratitude to the University of Strathclyde, UKRI, Scottish Enterprise, and the founding industry partners AstraZeneca and GSK for all your support in this hugely collaborative effort. As you all know, the life sciences manufacturing makes a huge contribution to the health and wealth of the nation. The life sciences vision describes our ambition to make the UK the leading global hub for life sciences, and manufacturing is integral to this ambition. It is why we set out in the vision the need to build on the strengths of our manufacturing R&D and our network of government-supported innovation centres. This new innovation centre in Scotland is a superb example of this ambition in action. Over £80 million total public and private funding equally invested to greatly enhance our medicines manufacturing ecosystem and spearhead the development of new and better medicines. Whilst the facility is being formally launched today, I know you have already been working hard on the grand challenges in three important areas. 1, producing more personalised medicines. 2, reducing the production time of clinical trial medicines. And 3, improving the sustainability and viability of new medicines that show promise in treating chronic, genetic and currently untreatable disease. These are hugely important goals, and achieving them will make an immense contribution to our wider life sciences vision, particularly the healthcare missions. We are grateful for the critical role you are playing. Life sciences has been described as investment in the future, and that seems a very fitting way to sum up this exciting new facility and its mission. As we go forward, we must ensure that government and industry continue to collaborate on these superb facilities and that they are used to their full potential, testing novel manufacturing technologies and scale. Working collaboratively, government, the NHS, industry investors and academia, we can make a huge leaps forward across the life sciences sector. This new facility is a testament to the power of that approach, and I look forward to visiting you soon to hear more of your achievements.
I'd like to say thank you to Minister Lamont and Minister Ghani for the address this morning. Thank you very much. And I do appreciate you've had a 4:30 start this morning and have to rush back to Westminster, so I do really appreciate that. I'd like to move on now and introduce Minister McKee, Ivan McKee. Mr McKee has a wide portfolio of responsibility in the Scottish Government, but he's here today with his life sciences hat on. Mr McKee and I had the pleasure of co-chairing the Life Sciences Scotland Industry Leadership Group for some 4 years, and I look forward to hearing words from you. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Dave, and it's a real pleasure to be here this morning. I was involved in the virtual groundbreaking ceremony, whenever that was, during COVID, which isn't quite the same thing as coming here and seeing the finished article and getting what was a fabulous tour. And if you're on the tour this afternoon, you've got something really to look forward to. The team are, as you would expect, absolutely on top of the subjects, understand the challenges very well, and are extremely able to communicate that in a way that even I could understand as we talked about those oligonucleotides and everything else that we covered this morning. So thanks very much for that. And thanks very much to the partners that are involved in this. Of course, the founder industry partners, AstraZeneca, GSK, at University of Strathclyde, and it's great to see Professor St Jim MacDonald here today, and of course CPI, who are taking the project forward with Dave and the excellent team that are in place here. And coming from a manufacturing background myself, it's always great to come and see the investment in the work and activity that's going on, to be able to take that world-class research and development that comes out of our leading universities, globally leading universities in Scotland, and translate that into leading technologies and implement that across a range of our key sectors, and none more important than the life science sector. And as Dave said, I've been involved working with the sector for 4.5 years now. It's been a real pleasure to see the progress the sector's made, the challenges we keep setting ourselves in terms of targets, and the way we keep smashing through those targets and raising the bar even higher. It's hugely encouraging, and I think we're really just at the start of that journey, and the work that's been done here really opens a fabulous number of doors to be able to take that forward. And the sector in Scotland is very tight-knit. We work very closely together with universities, with NHS, with industry, with start-up businesses, with government and agencies, and with others, to make sure that we've got a common vision of what the future looks like, and we're able all to contribute in our own way to make sure that that is delivered. As Alex said earlier, one of the great advantages of the Medicines Manufacturing Innovation Centre is it creates that space for businesses, research, others to come together and make mistakes in a safe environment and be able to learn from that and take it forward. And talking with Dave earlier, it's very clear that that model is hugely valuable, because it allows things to happen here that individual businesses on their own couldn't deliver, for a whole host of reasons. Some funding, but largely, honestly, to do with regulatory issues and other issues that impact on that. So it allows us to do that in this space, and allows Scotland to propel itself right to the forefront on the global stage, and it genuinely is globally leading on so many of those technologies, and to be able to translate them into the manufacturing capability of the future. And it's great that it sits here within AMID's Advanced Manufacturing Innovation District, Scotland, alongside the soon-to-be complete National Manufacturing Institute and the Advanced Pharma Research Centre, and much of the other work that's happening in building a cluster here, which is going to be, when it's complete and attracts more industrial partners in manufacturing onto the site, something that's really at the heart of Scotland's manufacturing renaissance, something, as you can imagine, that's very important to me with my background. It was also really interesting to see the net zero impact, and I spoke again with Dave on this as we walked around the tour. The ground source heat pumps that supply the energy, the photovoltaic, the focus on making sure that this is a net zero operation, and the sustainability aspects of the work that was explained to us as we tackle those grand challenges, and the savings in terms of carbon material loss and the overall efficiency that those advanced manufacturing processes really drive into the medicines manufacturing process. Hugely encouraging to see also the cross-sectoral work, and we talked about the sensors that are embedded in much of the activity here, the close working relationship with the Census, Scotland's Sensor Innovation Centre, and the ability to use this space as a demonstrator, not just for some fabulous globally leading technologies in manufacturing across life science, but beyond that, across the wider Scottish ecosystem. So it's a real pleasure to be here today to talk to you, enjoy the tour, obviously stay connected across the ecosystem, the life science ecosystem in Scotland, and I look forward to the fruits of this significant investment, money of course from Scottish Government, UK Government and industry partners coming together to deliver on that. Look forward to seeing the fruits of that being demonstrated in the months and years to come. And I'm going to come back, Dave, and have a look at that continuous process when it's spitting out tablets at a rate of knots, and I very much look forward to that. So thanks very much everybody, and see you soon. Bye now.
Thank you very much, Minister McKee. A certain 23-year-old on the 20th of October 1992 joined the farm industry. I joined SmithKline Beecham, and being in my 31st year, over 30 years in the industry, some 11,000 days later, I am still motivated by the reason I joined this industry. I wanted to dedicate what I did in my career to be able to make and supply medicines faster, cheaper and better to the benefits of patients, not just the patients that can afford medicine, but every patient in this world. It's a great industry to work in, and I'm hugely motivated by that fact. And it's that as a concept as to why the Medicines Manufacturing Innovation Centre was really visioned back in 2014 by a select few. Now, I'm not going to name all the names. Lots of people over the years have claimed it was their idea, as you can imagine. But there are a few people in the audience. There's Clive Badman, Arun Harish, who's in India, Stream Online, Andy Dwyer, when he was with GSK, and John Paul Sherlock from AstraZeneca. And there are many others who played a significant role back in 2014, coming up with the concept of the Medicines Manufacturing Innovation Centre. That concept was grabbed very quickly by the Medicines Manufacturing Industry Partnership, not to confuse the two, and some 4 years later, 6 founding partners, CPI, the owner-operator, Strathclyde University, the strategic research partner, Innovate UK and Scottish Enterprise, representing both governments, and the industry founding partners, AstraZeneca and GSK, took the brave and bold step of creating the business model, the partnership and the centre that we now have before us. In that 3-year period since 2019, we have raised over £88 million of investment for the centre and the technologies. We have 24 partners in total, and we have an incredible workforce and a world-class facility that will help us to deliver the ambition that I have set out previously. What a great story. And let me tell you, that's only phase 1. We'll talk more about the future in a second. So let me explain a little bit more about the Medicines Manufacturing Innovation Centre. If there's anything you leave with today, I want to leave you with 2 very clear pictures. The first thing is that we've introduced what I see as a groundbreaking and very innovative challenge model. We call it the Grand Challenge model. And this model really looks to bring together the pharma industry with academics, the CDMO industry, the technology industry, with government supporting and industry match funding to really identify disruptive, ambitious programs. These are programs that are not playing at the edges of what the industry are doing today. We're trying to get ahead of the industry. That's what the mission of the Medicines Manufacturing Innovation Centre is. Can we work in a pre-competitive, collaborative space where the return of investment and R&D spend in new technology is diluted for those partners, and really try and make a difference in terms of the transformation of the technology? We have got an incredible capability in the UK, and the Medicines Manufacturing Innovation Centre has got a tremendous platform opportunity to translate the technologies that we are creating into robust, routine commercial use for the benefits of the patients that we serve and for the benefits of the resources that this planet gives to us. So far, we've launched 3 grand challenges. If you're on the tour later on, you'll get to see them in action. Each of these grand challenges costs around about between 10 and 20 million pounds, so they're large investments. They're not small-scale projects, large, complex programmes. And a great example of this is the Grand Challenge 3. I'm very impressed by the ministers on the oligonucleotide word, but we're very, very proud of all of our grand challenges. But oligonucleotides is a great example of where we're transforming old solid-state chemistry, and to make 1 kilogram of an oligonucleotide requires about 5,000 tonnes today of raw materials. It's the least sustainable manufacturing process of all the different drug modalities that exist today. And we're in a situation with the use of membrane technology and biocatalysis technology. We've been at this for almost 18 months now, where we think the potential is to deliver a 70% improvement in the productivity, the carbon footprint, and at the same time improve the compliance accuracy of how we make oligonucleotides. This project has the potential to break through this drug modality, not just for the ones that are existing today. There are only about 10 marketed today for rare diseases, but it has the potential to accelerate the 600 oligonucleotides that are in development today. And most of them, if not almost close to all of them, are now focused in a more chronic disease where the patient population is not so much in the thousands but into the hundreds of thousands, and therefore the volume of drug required is significantly larger. So when we talk about Medicines Manufacturing Innovation Centre, we're not just talking about creating nice technology to play with. That technology can unlock a whole new therapeutic strategy, a whole new drug modality, and a whole new market for the economy, a significant opportunity. I could talk to you for the next hour about the grand challenges. I'm very proud of the work that CMAC are doing on continuous direct compression in Grand Challenge 1, the transformative automation design with Colin Mears Engineering on Grand Challenge 2 for clinical supply, the digital programme that's running through just now with support from Siemens and many other technology partners. We have got a pipeline of exciting new ideas. 3 are launched today, and we're planning to launch another 2 next year, focused in on smart bioprocessing and intracellular drug delivery systems. These are transformative projects, big changes for the industry that we're very, very proud of. I do want to take this opportunity to single out all of the Grand Challenge leaders, but in particular John Arthur, the director here at MMIC, and Katie Murray, the technology director, who have done an incredible job. You can imagine the alignment of the industry, getting the funding, getting it off the ground and getting started is not an easy task for a Grand Challenge. And these individuals in the Grand Challenges have done an amazing job in terms of leadership and resilience, I might say, to move forward. The second thing I want you to think about is the centre. Why have we got this centre? Why have we created a fully GMP operational facility like the Medicines Manufacturing Innovation Centre? Well, it's really quite a simple answer to the question. If we can translate the technology, work with the regulator to make sure that the technology is done in a compliant and acceptable way with the regulatory guidelines, then that allows the individual industry partners to, what I would call, cookie cut the technology into their facility. That's what the opportunity is. So rather than each individual pharma company is trying to work it out themselves, doing it slightly different, regulator getting confused, putting layer and layer of regulation on top of that, we can make that happen. We can run the compliance strategy through our GMP facility, and that then allows the industry to cookie cut the technology. They can lift the validation verification packages, and they can take all the training modules, and they can get it in faster. That's momentum. That's what we're trying to do. It's a really exciting opportunity. And I want to take again this opportunity to thank the MHRA, the UK regulator. The relationship that we have with them and the support has been absolutely outstanding. And again, I just think it's been a really excellent example of collaboration. And also thanks to the National Physical Laboratory, who are spending a lot of their time and resources helping us to set the new standards for the future. I want to be clear as well on one point to avoid any confusion. The model that we've established just now has been focused in on small molecule pharmaceuticals. We are now planning, as you've heard me say about the future Grand Challenges, to move this into large molecules and advanced therapies. The Medicines Manufacturing Innovation Centre is going to be focused in on all drug modalities, and we will use all of the ecosystem and infrastructure across all of the UK and even internationally to help to translate medicines. We are not wedded to one facility or to one organisation. Our mission is to use the full ecosystem, whichever way we possibly can, to get the most effective way of doing that translation. I wanted to move on now, if that's okay, just to talk about the partnership and perhaps a few words of thanks. I've already mentioned the 6 founding partners of the Medicines Manufacturing Innovation Centre, and they've stuck through it, the bumps in the road, they've contributed, they've challenged, they've supported, provided financial and in-kind resources. They've been an incredible partnership. And behind me on the screen, you can just see the 24 partners that are there, and it really has grown into this mix of founding partners, pharmaceutical companies, technology companies, and of course the very important role that PwC play in terms of our business partner. But I do want to really just highlight today, and I'm delighted to be able to announce this today, that Atos, the large IT digital company with an expertise in many areas, but one in particular, cybersecurity. You'll see later on this afternoon a press release between the Medicines Manufacturing Innovation Centre, CPI, and Atos, joining the partnership. So I'm really excited, and I'm delighted for the Atos team, and welcome on board to the partnership. I'm also wanting to just flag to you that even just this morning, speaking with the team at Amazon Web Services, you should expect hopefully an announcement over the next couple of months about Amazon Web Services joining the partnership in a very exciting opportunity where we're really trying to take the Medicines Manufacturing Innovation Centre as an example where we can take all of our data into a 100% cloud-based strategy, which I think is an important step forward. I want to thank the Supervisory Board under the leadership of Maureen Wedderburn and the Technical Advisory Committee under the leadership of Professor David Littlejohn. They get to work with me quite regularly, which is really challenging for them, and it's great that the support you give us from both our governance and leadership as we've moved forward. Thanks also to Renfrewshire Council for the support here at AMIDS, and to Baker Hicks for the design of the facility. We're very proud of the design, and to Tilbury Douglas for the building and completing the building project. I have to say, if I'm ever given a choice again in whatever remains in my career, I don't think I'll ever plan to build a facility during a pandemic crisis. It's not been the smartest thing ever to be done, but needless to say, we muddled our way through very effectively, and it's only fair for me to call out Jerry Cooper, who really ran the project along with support from John Arthur. I think you guys did an amazing job, and I've never seen so many spinning plates in my life, but well done for you guys for doing that. I also want to take the opportunity just to recognise CPI. CPI was a new organisation to me 3 years ago, but I want to just recognise the brave step that they took in taking on the Medicines Manufacturing Innovation Centre. For CPI, it was a new complex model. It was a change in approach to some of the things that they were doing. They had to introduce GMP for the very first time, lots of changes to processes. And I think it's important that we call out the leadership team in CPI under the leadership of Frank Miller, the CEO, who you'll hear a few words about later on. I think you've stuck with it. You've helped us to evolve the model. It's been an exciting journey, and I've really enjoyed it. And at times you've definitely kept me sane, or perhaps in your eyes you've kept me grounded. I'm not quite sure which one to say there. It's been a great journey, and again, I just want to reiterate that point. A huge thank you to everyone that's been involved in creating the partnership as we stand. Now, as I look to the future, I class this first 3 years as the phase one. We're now starting to shape ourselves up for phase two, and I was delighted with the support we got from PwC to help us really look to our future strategy. On the screen there, you can see the 5 pillars of our new strategy. We are going to boost up and bolster again the next wave of grand challenges. We're going to make sure that we get more of an international brand for the Medicines Manufacturing Innovation Centre. We want to make sure that we deliver the skills strategy behind these advanced technologies. We want to really push forward on our sustainable agenda. We have got lots of things that we want to do in our next phase, and I'm hugely excited about that programme. I want to perhaps leave you with a couple of final thoughts. My question to you, both as individuals working in this industry and perhaps as organisations, my question is, what type of organisation are you when it comes to transforming technology? What type of organisation are you? I believe we transform technology for the benefits of patients, minimising our resources, and of course, let's not be naive to make sure that your company is profitable and sustainable for the future. But what type of company are you when it comes to transforming technology? The picture I would leave you with is quite a simple one. Are you the organisation that is sitting there with your hands open? Hands open means that you're prepared to receive and you're prepared to give. In this world of a pre-competitive space, where there's still 1.5 billion patients in the world that can't access the medicines that you make because they can't afford them. There's only going to be about 1 billion people can afford the advanced therapies. Why can't this industry work together in a pre-competitive space and be collaborative? Or are you that organisation where your hands are closed, You're keeping it secret inside your company, and something, to be quite honest, you can't defend in the courts anyway. What type of organisation are you? Well, I want to tell you the organisation that the Medicines Manufacturing Innovation Centre is and CPI is. Our hands are wide open. We're here to collaborate with anybody we think will add value to both the patients and the planet resources. Our hands are wide open. We invite everybody who wants to be in this partnership to come and have that conversation. There is a role for everyone to play. So with that in mind, I'm going to wrap up. Let's work together. Let's innovate together. Let's translate together. If we do that, everyone's a winner. Thank you very much. Now, just before I sit down, it goes to say we've mentioned lots of people today, but I want to give a huge thanks to the 68 members of staff we have in the Medicines Manufacturing Innovation Centre. They are an amazing team. Some of you will be engaging with them already, and this afternoon you'll get to meet lots more of them. They are an exhilarating bunch. They keep me on my toes for sure. And we thought it would be nice for them to prepare a video for them to explain to you how they feel about the Medicines Manufacturing Innovation Centre. So let's see the video. Thank you.
The Medicines Manufacturing Innovation Centre will ultimately revolutionise how we treat patients in the future.
We're bringing together pharmaceutical companies that have never worked together with clusters of academics and technology companies where they're bringing their knowledge and data and information to create an advanced, improved technology outcome for how we make medicines. I want to make a difference in people's lives.
There's an old quote which is, "The future's here, it's just not very well distributed." Our role, as I see it, is taking the best bits of the future and making sure that the world gets them so that people can get better.
The aim of it is to accelerate the introduction of new technology into medicines manufacturing for the benefit of patients, the environment and the UK economy.
We're encouraged to think outside the box. We're solving problems that no one else can solve, so we're encouraged to think and create new solutions.
No one company can do what we do, so by doing it collectively and collaboratively, we can have a much, much bigger success.
What excites me the most is the impact these new technologies and digital solutions will have on the end patient.
My son had leukemia. He had personalised therapy. Where I started my career was as a pharmacist treating patients. So one of the great things about the Medicines Manufacturing Innovation Centre is it allows me to take that part of me that's a professional that does thing A. It enables me to be the dad that I have needed to be with a child who wasn't very well, who thankfully now is well, which is fantastic. And it also enables me to feel like I'm making still a meaningful impact to other people like my son.
I have a love for innovation, and when I received that phone call, how could you not take this opportunity? An opportunity to make a difference in a pre-competitive space. It's big pharma names. It's revolutionary.
The thing that really gets me out of bed, it's not just about delivering high quality medicine to patients. For me, there's also a social aspect to working here and about creating jobs for people.
It's all about local talent, keeping the job industry within Scotland, ensuring that we grow as a Scottish business for our government and for life science. It's going to bring industry, it's going to be business. This used to be a wasteland, and in 10 years' time I can see it bustling with scientific activity, jobs to the local industry.
For me, being able to create manufacturing jobs which have got very strong links through apprenticeships can then give people solid jobs for life.
It's always exciting and there's always something new to learn, and we've got a great bunch of people.
It's about enjoying the science, enjoying working with a whole load of really bright people and actually making a difference, leaving a legacy.
it's very exciting. It's having a real difference in the industry. But for me, it's the people that work here, because you're working with the best that exist. And we can't imagine the projects that are going to come in the future. We are only starting. What is the future going to be? That's yet to be described.
Well, thank you, Dave, and thank you to each of those members of the team here for some really, really quite inspiring words from the human beings in this building. Our next speaker is an executive director at the University of Strathclyde, which means he is at the heart of creating collaborations for the benefit of patient outcomes and the industry. And when it comes to collaboration, he's been at this for a while, because back in 2013, after a number of leadership roles at GSK, Clive became the head of pre-competitive collaborations, a phrase we're hearing a lot this morning already, which meant that he wasn't just working between industry and academia, but he was actually forging industry-to-industry collaborations within industry, all in the spirit of driving improvements, efficiencies, and technologies for the benefit of the whole of healthcare. And his work has not gone unnoticed. In 2012, Clive was awarded the OBE for his services to industry. And in 2021, last year, he had the prestigious honour of becoming a Fellow of the Royal Society of Edinburgh, recognising the impact his work has had on the country. Can you please welcome Professor Clive Badman, OBE, to the stage?
Thank you, Alex. I wasn't quite expecting that, but that's very kind. Good morning, everyone. This is a really major milestone today, not just for me, but for partnership and collaboration in this whole area of creating a pre-competitive pathway from fundamental research to translation to industry. And you've heard this already, but I'll say it again. The concept of this translation unit first came up at Zurich Airport in 2014. It was after a CMAC meeting. So CMAC is Strathclyde's Centre for Continuous Manufacturing and Advanced Crystallisation. And it delivers leading-edge research in manufacturing technologies that enable industry to deliver better quality products more economically and more sustainably. We followed up that early meeting, I think it was Graham Wren and I from the university, with Graham Hillier and Arun Harish at CPI in a conversation in the summer of 2014 with a view to creating a new manufacturing translational centre. And in 2018, that came to pass, with CPI, with support from Scottish Enterprise, Innovate UK, AstraZeneca, GSK, and the University of Strathclyde. We got approval for the centre. And it's not a day too soon, or it was not a day too soon. The UK's impact in terms of medicines manufacturing is falling behind. And that's a very sad thing to say. I can give you some figures that come from the ABPI. The UK's share of global pharmaceutical research and development has fallen from 7.7% in 2012 to 4.2% in 2020. The number of clinical trials held in the UK has fallen by 41% from 2017 to 2021. And particularly from my perspective, manufacturing has fallen by 29% from 2009 to 2021. Even with that decline, life sciences in the UK contributes 37 billion to GDP and provides 580,000 skilled jobs in the UK. but there's more that we can get, much more that we can get. And if we look to the future, there is huge potential, both for the economy, but particularly for patients, through the life sciences industry and what it can do. The prize for delivering the current life science vision is an additional £68 billion over the next 30 years and an additional $16 billion in exports each year. That's the prize that we can grasp if we can get everyone to work together. Partnership and collaboration. I'll keep coming back to that. The Medicines Manufacturing Innovation Centre can substantially contribute to this in translating the manufacturing aspects of that life sciences vision into reality. So, a little bit about the university. The University of Strathclyde was created in 1796 during the Scottish Enlightenment as a place of useful learning. And that's how it contributes to MMIC. As a leading international technological university, we continue to apply this ethos alongside our values of distinctiveness to contribute towards tackling the grand challenges of our time. As part of our mission to make the world a better educated, more sustainable, more prosperous, healthier, a fair and secure environment. And this includes tackling the grand challenges that are facing the pharmaceutical industry, which Dave has pointed out. And we're delighted to be a key strategic partner in MMIC. This new facility is an exemplar of a triple helix approach. When I first heard that, and I first heard that from Sir Jim MacDonald back in 2009, I hadn't heard it anywhere else. Perhaps it's overused these days, but it is a great way to describe work championed by Strathclyde in bringing together industry, academia and government to make a positive impact on society and to catalyse growth. Partnership and collaboration, there it is again, are essential in accelerating the translation of all new manufacturing technologies, which you will see here today. Going it alone can be done, but it's slow and it's expensive. Working together in pre-competitive partnership and collaboration can help accelerate that. I mentioned CMAC earlier on. It was CMAC that helped establish the university's advanced manufacturing capability in medicines and pharmaceuticals. And through our role in Project Remedies to deliver the first 2 grand challenges into the medicines manufacturing facility. At Strathclyde, we're very proud, incredibly proud of the highly successful industry engagement model that we've developed and of the pathway that we've put in place from fundamental research to translation to industry in MMIC. The opening of MMIC adds another jewel in the crown of the Advanced Manufacturing Innovation District Scotland, AMIDS, which you'll hear a number of times today, which is fast establishing itself as an internationally recognised hub for innovation, research and manufacturing based in Scotland's industrial heartland. And sitting alongside, although as Dave pointed out, not yet opened, is the National Manufacturing Institute for Scotland, the big purple building that you can see across the road here. And again, Strathclyde is the anchor university for that. NMIS itself grew out of Strathclyde's Advanced Forming Research Centre and the Lightweight Manufacturing Centre. So it's building all the time. And NMIS will be opening a new digital process manufacturing centre on the I3 Business Park in Irvine in 2023 to help the country's process manufacturing industries, including life science companies, embrace emerging digital technologies and a fast track to a net zero future. Strathclyde's role in all of these facilities reflects our strong research and development credentials and the triple helix approach to partnership working. Some of you may have heard of the Research Excellence Framework, but it is a way in which universities are measured. Almost 90% of Strathclyde's research was rated as either world-leading or internationally excellent in the 2021 review, and that's way above the sector average for universities in the UK. And earlier this year, we collected our third Queen's Anniversary Prize for further and higher education. That's the highest national honour for higher education institutions. This was in recognition of our excellence in advanced manufacturing and the breadth and scope of our research activity and our impact, which is supporting manufacturers across multiple sectors: aerospace, automotive, maritime, energy, photonics, and pharmaceuticals. Health and well-being is at the centre of our strategic research. It's one of our key strategic themes, and it encapsulates the work on medicine's discovery, manufacture, and impact on patient outcomes. And MMIC complements that work and our new Health and Care Futures initiative, which focuses on future medicines as part of its remit to help tackle global health challenges. This activity capitalises on Strathclyde's expertise in the fields of medicines innovation, health technologies, data analytics, artificial intelligence, and workforce and leadership. Useful learning. That's what we're based on, useful learning. Through this, we'll promote the delivery of new models of care, focusing on prevention and empowering individuals and populations to live as well as possible at home and in their communities. One last thing to say about digital technologies. The impact of digital in manufacturing is hugely important. And using this approach, MMIC will deliver much needed new technologies to all the medicines manufacturing industry, bringing increased productivity, lower environmental burden, and better access to medicines for patients. At Strathclyde, we very much look forward to working together with our partners in MMIC to transform the manufacturing of new medicines, and we're delighted to be here and to be part of the building opening today. So all the best in the future to Dave and the whole team. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Clive. And we're clearly in good hands with our academic partner of the University of Strathclyde here in Glasgow. I'd like to now introduce our next speaker, who is at the heart of the medicines manufacturing industry here in the UK, both through his role as VP Pharmaceutical Sciences, responsible for small molecule development activities at Pfizer, his involvement on the ABPI's New Medicines and Data Strategic Leadership Group, and he's here today as the chair of the Medicines Manufacturing Industry Partnership. I'd like to introduce you to Brian Henry.
Thank you very much. So the Medicines Manufacturing Industrial Partnership was set up in 2014, and really the role is to bring together the companies, the professional bodies and the government to try and create the right environment for the UK to be a great place to make medicines going forward. We are actually part of the Life Sciences Council, part of the delivery mechanism for the Life Sciences Council. One of the key areas we focus on is trying to define the UK's manufacturing, innovation and new technology needs, and we create these roadmaps. And then we can work with companies, partners and the government to try and co-create solutions, to find funding solutions and new ways of making those needs be addressed in the UK. And really that's the origin of some of our support for MMIC over the years, where we help support the team in bringing forward the ideas and creating the business case. I would like to acknowledge the previous chair, Andy Evans from AstraZeneca. He was very much in charge of, he was the previous chair of MMIP, and he was a strong supporter and advocate and worked with the team in building that business case to government to fund the centre and bring it to fruition. So really, where are we now? How are we going to use the centre, Dave? That's the question. How do we make the most of this investment? So let's look at medicines manufacturing, and Clive referred to the ABPI PwC report from the summer. Medicines manufacturing in the UK is actually very big and very, very important to the country. It employs 350,000 jobs, contributes £3 billion to the exchequer each year, and it is vital in terms of a resilient support structure for medicines for patients in the UK. But the overall numbers aren't that good. When you look at the projections we're going now in terms of investment, jobs, productivity, and balance of trade, the numbers aren't going the right way. So I think we're going to need to work a lot harder to turn that around in this country. So really what we're working on within with the government at the moment really is to try and build a longer term vision for medicines manufacturing in the UK, to really think about what do we need to do to create a much better environment for companies, a lot of the companies represented in this room, to want to come and invest in the UK. So we're working with at the moment to try and build this sort of long-term 5 to 10 year vision to try and turn this around and deliver a renaissance to medicines manufacturing in the UK, and deliver that value that was in the ABPI report from the summer in terms of the many thousands of new jobs and access and give that supply chain resilience in the UK for the medicines the patients are going to need. A key component of that strategy is going to be innovation. So MMIP will look at redeveloping its medicines manufacturing innovation roadmaps going forward. And this is really where we see centres like this playing a pivotal role. So if you're looking for sort of where the missions and grand challenges, where those open hand ideas for collaborative research are going to be moving forward for this sector, and where the MMIC can play a really important role. If you look at developing sustainable medicines, sustainable manufacturing processes moving forward, there's an opportunity for the UK to take a global leadership position there. If you look at advanced therapies, that's actually one of the highlights, actually, where some of the numbers are going down for the UK. I think advanced therapies, I won't say oligonucleotides, I'd say advanced therapies, that's my shortcut. The UK is actually doing very well there, but the competition is increasing there. We need to go again, we need to think about where we need to be in 10 years' time with the new manufacturing technologies to support those new therapies. If you look at improving efficiency and quality in our manufacturing processes, we have to focus on automation, data, predictive sciences, better control systems. And there's a real opportunity for us to share knowledge and thoughts and ideas in that space. And really the fourth area to think about is the talent we're going to need moving forward. We're going to need people with different sorts of skills are going to come out of institutes like this and universities like Strathclyde. And it's that skills agenda will really fuel making the UK a really great place to want to come and make medicines going forward. So I look forward to working with you on that journey in the next few years. And I can see the MMIC being a pivotal part of the UK's infrastructure in really driving that innovative manufacturing renaissance moving forward. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Brian. I'd now like to welcome the panel onto the stage so that we can hear insight into what it's actually like working with the Medicines Manufacturing Innovation Centre. So can I please welcome Scott Lawson from PwC, Andy Ross from GSK, Juliet White CBE from AstraZeneca, and Andrew Whittock from Siemens. Can you please take a seat on the stage? Anywhere you like. Do you need me to help you up?
Yeah, taking the red seat.
Where are you going to sit?
I don't know. Where am I going to sit? I just sit all of the same colour. That's makes it easier to. Are you going to sit here?
Sorry.
Are you good?
Dave's going to come and join you.
Okay. God.
So first of all, thank you very much for being here. I know some of you, for some of you, this is a flying visit, so thank you for being here. And actually, Juliet, I would like to come to you first, because my understanding is you've been involved in the facility for a long time now, pretty much from the word go. So what's been your experience? And I guess what has that experience meant for such a large pharmaceutical company? What's been your experience working with the facility?
Yeah, great, thank you, Alex. And firstly, thank you to all of the staff within the centre for everything you do every day. And my highlight of today was the video actually sharing the voices of people in the organisation and the kind of comment of actually we're encouraged to think outside the box, and that's probably a sort of defining feature. So when you talk about from the beginning, I wasn't quite either in the airport or the pub where the idea was created. I think the stories vary depending on who you ask. But certainly AstraZeneca has been involved since 2017. And I think there's probably three things that I would want to bring from a large company perspective. One is that actually by engaging in a collaboration, you're able to access something much bigger than you can do on your own. And that isn't purely a financial investment. That's actually a skills, a talent and an ideas base. Secondly, if we look at the grand challenges, and they have been challenging and grand in equal measure at times. What I would say about them is that they offer a fantastic learning opportunity, and we operate, life sciences is a high-risk industry that we work in, and you have to be able to innovate, you have to be able to fail, and you have to be able to learn fast. So actually the grand challenge concept, being involved in that, helps us learn how to collaborate, but actually helps us access skills and ideas and ways of working really quickly. I think the third thing is that, and you've heard the sort of concept of partnership and collaboration, and a very personal reflection is that that has accelerated over the last few years. I've spent more than 30 years in the life sciences sector, and if we look in pre-COVID times, often we saw very many things as commercially sensitive and barriers to being able to collaborate. Centres such as this, ways of working such as this, did accelerate through COVID. There were lots of really bad things that happened, but there was that ability to really recognise that you have to work together differently when you are so up against the clock. And I think it changes the language to what is going to help us work together better and faster, rather than what are the reasons why we can't collaborate. So maybe those were three things from me, Alex.
And it's that it is that collaboration that's on a, when it's not in the competitive space, that I think has been so striking from the speakers in the centre today. So it's really fascinating to hear such a positive insight from the heart of one of those large pharmaceutical companies. So thank you very much. Andrew Whittock, from an industry 4.0 technology viewpoint, what should the facility be focusing on next?
So it's not so easy to say. There's so many different areas in which they're already working, which I think we just heard from the previous speaker there about with the new therapies, around automating, around taking people out of the process to be able to scale up, to scale out, and so on and so forth. So related to that, I think there are a number of different technologies that we're looking at today in terms of the end-to-end control and understanding of a process, of the whole manufacturing, but also the supply chain processes through digital twins, through different topics like that. So where I think I'm going with that is in terms of data. Data, we often hear data is the new oil, and we go to customers and we see them, or go talk to pharmaceutical companies, or in fact any industrial company, and on one hand they've got too much data, and on the other hand they haven't got the right data. So it's about really being able to use that in the right way to be able to make that difference, to have that impact, to be able to make more efficiently, with less waste, at a lower cost, and so on and so forth. So for me, it's about understanding, using modelling, using simulation. So we talk a lot about this digital twin, which is one aspect. And then I think also around where we're seeing a real take-up at the moment is in terms of robotics, in terms of technologies that can replace, when you're in very clean rooms, for example, where you need to, for cleanliness reasons, for example, take people out of the process. It can help as well. So I think these are the sorts of areas as we move forward on those new therapies, that we'll see, we are seeing, and we hope to see here even more difference.
Thank you. So we've got a real emerging cutting-edge technology, data analysis, really understand that digital side of things. And we've also heard that just in principle, the opportunity to learn so much. I'm wondering, Andy, if you can share your experience of working with the facility. Again, I think pretty much from the word go.
Yeah, hopefully my microphone is working. I got it a bit late. But look, very similar to Juliet, GSK have been part of the MMIC concept from the very early beginning all the way through to what we see here today, which is the physical centre. But I think one of the key things for GSK is not just the physical centre that we've built today, but actually, as you saw, the talent and the people that the MMIC business model and concept are able to bring together to bear on big industry challenges. So for GSK, our mission is to get ahead of disease together, right, using the best science and technology. And the MMIC really brings that to life. The idea of bringing some of the best industry partners, competitive companies, universities, to work together on really challenging scientific and technological issues, but to do that in a way where we use diversity of thought to break through some of them, I think is really important for GSK. So it's not just about the physical centre, it's as much about the people and the diversity of thought and the diversity of the collaborators that we can pull together. So that's really important, not just today, but also for the future of the centre. I think the second thing, very similar, I think, to AstraZeneca, is that the two grand challenges GSK are really embedded in GC1 and GC2 are about taking shared risk to try and make a breakthrough and get ahead of some of our industry technology challenges. I think as a partner with other companies, we can be bolder, we can share the risk, and we can probably deliver more and more quickly than we would maybe do ourselves or with an individual partner like a university or a single vendor. So it's fantastic that we are able to use collaboration to set the bar a bit higher, yeah, in terms of the shared risk, but in terms of the challenges we want to solve. The last thing, though, I think from a GSK perspective, we have a huge supply chain base in the UK, and it's really important to us that that supply chain base stays vibrant in terms of the skills and the ecosystem. And we want to see the UK continue to be an attractive place for pharma companies, for vendors, for suppliers, to continue to do business, because from that we can get shared skills, yeah, shared benefit, and therefore at the MMIC, I believe, really will help the UK continue to stay attractive, will also help generate the skills and ensure that the pharmaceutical supply chain ecosystem in the UK is attractive as we go forward. I think Clive shared some numbers that should probably worry us, right, about potentially some of the decline. So the MMIC we should see as a catalyst, hopefully, to reverse that. Thank you.
And Dave mentioned earlier about how his vision is for the facility to be on the front foot, one step ahead of industry. Perhaps the context was from a technology perspective and a process perspective, but I'm hearing that there's benefit in understanding what skills and people you may well need to bring into the organisation and be able to horizon scan for that. Juliet, have you found that from your perspective, given your role at the company?
I mean, I think we certainly see the skills flowing two ways, actually. So one of our team has been involved and sort of working within the centre for the last 3 years, Katie, who's returning to AstraZeneca at the beginning of next year. And that's a fantastic opportunity to actually show how skills can flow between organisations. So it isn't just the absolute capability that you build, but it's how you then apply it to new and different challenges as they come forward.
Thank you. So PwC, so you must have a little bit more of an overview of a number of the issues, given all the people that all the organisations you get to work with on so many issues. So what's been your experience, Scott, of working with the facility, but maybe also some of the partners as well, and what value does that bring to the industry?
Yeah, thanks, Alex. I think when we first got involved with the MMIC concept, I can't remember if it was the bar or the airport either, Dave, but it was one of the two. Certainly our view was we wanted to collaborate, so this word collaboration keeps coming up. It was very important to us that we were able to then, through that collaboration, try and identify some of those statistics that were quoted earlier, some of the concepts and the ideas that were really going to move the needle forward for the industry. As we started to look across, the MMIC vision and mission statement, we realised there was a lot of synergies with our own. Because of those synergies, that was something that we could really hook into, and we could bring some of the skills that we see from collaborating across the broad portfolio of pharma and life sciences organisations and bring some of those lessons to the table. I'm sitting holding the strategy document here, and I will reference it later on, but I think we're quite proud of what we've been able to do in terms of identifying the grand challenges, understanding how they're going to drive the industry forward, bringing innovation to the table, and then collaborating effectively. And as Dave touched on, there's a pipeline that we've identified that we think really does set the MMIC up for success in the future.
And from a collaboration perspective, have you seen a shift in the industry that Juliet described over the last number of years?
Yeah, it's interesting. So I think the patent cliff, as pretty much everybody in the room experienced and felt, really did drive a different agenda. And that's brought the collaboration word more to the fore. It's imperative that, if we connect it to an ESG environment and provision of medicines to certain areas and regions and territories that can't access those medicines, it's imperative that we do our best to change that. So I think collaboration is the word of the day for me.
Thank you. One of the things we need to talk about, and I'll come to you, Juliet, is there's a real consideration of carbon footprint here. I don't want to give any spoilers, but when I was given a tour of the building, I was told some really interesting facts about the building and its carbon footprint. So listen out for that on your tour, but I don't want to steal anyone's thunder. So this idea on changing the carbon footprint of pharmaceutical manufacturing, how can the facility help with that, and what are your views on that from an industry perspective?
Yeah, thanks, Alex. So today has been about lots of facts and figures, and I'm just about to add a little bit more to it, so apologies. If you look at the healthcare sector, so that is kind of the pharmaceutical supply chain within it, it's going to hospital, it's patient trips in and out of hospitals, it's doctors going to hospitals, it's the early discovery and research, the full end to end. That's between 4 and 5% of our global emissions. So that's like being 2 or 3 countries put together, and it is some order of magnitude more than the global emissions that come out of Africa. So just pause for a moment. Now, of course, that's the full end to end, but if we look at it, about 50% of it sits within the supply chain. So imagine the impact that we can all have on decarbonising that patient experience. And it was fantastic to hear, and I won't share any spoilers, but actually if you look at the grand challenges, redesigning some of the routes, using technology, reducing waste, are ultimately going to lower the carbon footprint, as well as protecting some of the very precious natural resources that we share. And if we are able to lower the carbon footprint of that kind of supply chain part, we have a really big impact on lowering the carbon footprint of healthcare as a whole. And we are all in this business of keeping people as healthy for as long as possible. And we know that to be physically healthy, we actually need to live in a healthy environment. There's this really strong impact between bad climate and disease. So I do think there is a huge opportunity in the grand challenges that the centre is running to both prove that, to then show how you can scale that, and to make a lasting, much longer than probably I'm likely to be alive, much longer impact on actually the carbon footprint of the kind of healthcare sector by really tackling some of those difficult challenges.
And taking that leadership role in terms of health in a broader context as well. And actually, you talk about an aspirational goal there. I do feel like I need to mention our Industrial Biotechnology Innovation Centre conference earlier on in the year. There was a speaker from NHS, from NHS Scotland, who was in charge of the green agenda for the NHS. And she said to the audience, she said, "We will start asking you about your carbon footprint as a supplier to the NHS." So it was a very, very clear message there. I'm about to ask the audience if they have any questions. And to do so, I'll actually ask Dave if you will join the panel, because we haven't had a chance to ask Dave any questions yet. Just while while you're thinking about a question, can you put your hand up so we can get a microphone to you for any questions from the audience? In the meantime, Andy, I'll come back to you. Dave mentioned this sort of diversifying the original, perhaps small molecule focus into much larger molecules. What's your view on that, and to what extent is that going to add more value to the industry?
Yeah, well, I think it's probably 3 or a few points to mention. First of all, I'm not sure as a patient or as a disease it matters how we cure or improve people's health. So whether it be small molecule, whether it be large molecule, whether it be another advanced therapy, I don't think it matters to those people that we want to help in terms of patients, or indeed does it really matter to the disease, right, how we treat it. So I think if we really want to get ahead of the diseases of today or the diseases tomorrow, we have to be open-minded and go where the science and the technology takes us. So I think that's the first point. I also think the way that the MMIC, as I mentioned earlier, has been set up to be able to pull together a diverse leaders in technology and science industry allows them to be flexible. So it allows you to flex the partners based on the challenge, and therefore I think the MMIC is uniquely placed to be able to move between modalities, whether it be small molecule, large molecule, or indeed some of the advanced therapies. So I think utilising that flexibility to the advantage, I think, is really critical. So the industry needs us to be mindful in MMIC of where science is going, where the industry is going. It will be a portion of small molecule, large molecule, that will solve some of the diseases of tomorrow. But last but not least, I really do believe that the pandemic has taught us that a lot of technologies are beginning to coalesce. Yeah, whether it be in vaccines technology that was used for some of the mRNA vaccines that many of us will have been given. Some of that technology now is being used for some smaller molecules and some advanced therapies. So technology is coalescing, and therefore I think just choosing one modality, yeah, would ultimately limit, right, the opportunities that the MIC can bring.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay, thank you very much, Andy. So are there any questions from the audience for any member of the panel? There's a gentleman here, thank you.
Yeah, Steve Burgess from GSK. A question probably for Andrew, actually, if that's okay, just a pre-warning.
Hi, Steve. Yeah, that's all right.
Given the pharmaceutical industry has got huge amounts of data, quite a lot of analytical technology, PAT, that sort of thing, what do you think is the barriers for why we haven't been able to maximise that, and how will MMIC help us get beyond those barriers?
Yeah, thanks for the easy question. I think it's quite clear in terms of when I'm talking about this topic, is around joined-up thinking. I mean, we're using the word a lot today, collaboration. In our company, we use a lot of the word co-creation, yeah? An ecosystem. And it's about understanding and working across an organisation. And one of the biggest challenges I see with specifically to data analytics is often we're looking very much at a very single piece rather than that joined up thinking in terms of how we can create an open platform where I can bring the different pieces of data in. Maybe that's a technological answer to it. The technology is there to be able to do that. It's the way in which you do it. It's the governance that you put in place to be able to do that, and also to make an impact. Yeah? If we're just doing data analytics for the sake of doing it, and I talked earlier about having too much data or not having enough data, how can you be in those two same places talking to the two same people in the same room? So for me, it comes back to an understanding of why you're doing it, not doing it for the sake of data. And I could probably say the same thing about technology in general. And then having the governance in place to make sure that you're having a real impact. And I think that for me has always been the challenge around digital and around technology, is around having, assessing and understanding the impact. And that brings me to actually, I think, answer your question, which is what can the MMIC do? It can prove that. And the hardest thing is proving an impact that a specific piece of technology can make. We have a great example here. Perhaps not, it's a little bit related to analytics as QP dashboard. So the dashboard being able to bring all the data from the different sources together to be able to do that release. That's something that was conceived by the different people in the organisation within the Grand Challenge to be able to have an answer to a specific problem and use the technology that's out there to solve that particular one. And now we can look forward to seeing how that could become more democratized, let's say, yeah, and be used as not just as a product that Siemens will sell or that another company will sell, but more as a way of thinking, of being able to use data and use technology to be able to release your batch much faster and get it to the patient more quickly.
Dave, did you want to respond?
Yeah, thank you. Am I on? Can you hear me? Yeah, good, Steve, good to see you. Brilliant question, right? So I think to get to the root, and I agree with everything Andrew said, to get to the root of your question, you have to ask the question, why is the data so important? And the answer to that is there's three things. One is, if I've got my data in real time, I can make all of my employees make real-time decisions, rather than lag decisions. That creates momentum and value. I can then have the data aligned in such a way that if I have a failure, a deviation, I can resolve that issue quicker. That's momentum and value. If I get the data right, with the right predictor model, I can predict the future, and I can avoid all the waste in trying to get to the future. So to answer that question, that is really fundamental. And what we see in the Medicines Manufacturing Innovation Centre is that we see best practices with all the 24 partners. We can see great little nuggets from each of them. And what we're planning to do as a digital programme is pull them in all together, because we think it's pre-competitive. At the end of the day, if your people can make faster decisions, solve problems quicker, predict the future, it doesn't matter whether you're making a biological or small molecule, it's a different product.
It's all about driving efficiency in the sector. So we're launching a digital programme that's doing exactly that. and we'd welcome everybody who wants to come and join the party. And then the final bit of that solution is that there's advanced digital solutions that we don't know exist today. There are models and predictor tools that we can put together. For example, and you'll hear on the tour, real-time QP release would be a great prize. Predictor model for continuous direct compression would be a great prize for the industry. So there are advanced solutions that the Grand Challenge model work in that we'll share with the industry. But fundamentally, if all of the organisations we talked about, that massive export from UK farm industry, if we just lift them all to the same level of the standards we have today on data, we would transform the productivity of this sector. And that's what the digital programme's trying to do. Not that I'm on a sales pitch, but if you want to be involved, my number is...
Dave's very happy about that, Dave. Thank you very much, Dave. Just, are there any last questions? Because I do owe you one last speaker. So one last question from the gentleman here, please.
Hi, Stephen Maddox, Department of Health and Social Care. Something that stood out for me in these presentations is the big industry, big pharma, and more recently the advanced therapies world. But how do you invigorate the generics industry to come on this journey with you? Like, how do you increase their appetite for risk?
I'm happy to have a go. And I'm sure my colleagues on my left will add to this. I genuinely believe that if the pharmaceutical industry takes the lead in technology change, the CDMOs will follow. They have to, because that's how they earn their money from the pharma industry, and that will make a lot of pressure on the generics. I firmly believe that health purchasers who buy these medicines will judge you not just in price and compliance, but they'll judge you on your carbon footprint. I think in my lifetime that will happen. And so I think society will put the pressure on the world of generics to make sure that they are driving the technology at the same pace as the pharma industry. That's what I think will happen.
I mean, I guess it's a couple of things to say in terms of what Dave has said. If we think about CDMO and generics as two slightly different spheres as well, I think proof at scale is really important because that actually does de-risk for a CDMO and potentially a generic that is working at much higher volume and scale. So scale is really important. I think secondly, and I'm not biased, but if you look at the sustainability credentials, and you heard the comment Alex shared that the NHS has put very, very clear goals on, the buyers of medicine will drive change in the sector faster than potentially they have done in the last 2 to 3 decades. So I think it will be a kind of a race as to, do you create that for yourself, or do your regulators and do your buyers drive that pressure for you? But I think if the centre can demonstrate scale, it makes it much more attractive to pull in either a large CDMO or indeed to generics.
Can I just take a quick shot at that as well, Stephen? So working with many generics manufacturers, CDMOs, CMOs, etc., the message that the MMIC is putting out into the market is key. So to Juliet's point, absolutely the NHS has set the target. The regulatory requirements are quite clear on that, and the date is very clear for those generics manufacturers. But actually their ability to harness the digital capability is the key. The MMIC is, through collaboration, identifying those opportunities. And by driving certainly the first 3 grand challenges that you saw, certainly I am talking to them about the opportunity that that brings for them in the marketplace. They will always be driven by market share, but then any corporate organisation is, right? So the key is, how do you identify that collaboration bridge that takes them into that space? And I think, Dave, we've already discussed several of the players who would love to become partners of the MMIC organisation, the future of pharma strategy, etc. So I think certainly I see a movement of the needle there in terms of the provision of medicine into the NHS.
Thank you very much. In the interest of this jam-packed agenda, I am going to thank the panel for all their insights and invite you to leave the stage and take your seats back in the audience. And our next and final speaker today is the Chief Executive Officer of the Centre for Process Innovation. This is a gentleman who has had a whole range of leadership roles in a whole range of sectors and industry, from engineering, construction, oil, gas, nuclear. And if you're wondering where he created such a broad and diverse skill, operational skill from. He also served 12 years in the British Army as an officer. So I'd like to introduce you all to Frank Miller, CEO of CPI.
It's always unnerving when people read your bio. Thank you, Alex, and welcome everybody on behalf of the Board of Directors of CPI. Wow, what an hour. My version of the I was there at the start story is firstly never being able to find Arun, because he was always off gallivanting with Clive around the world. But then secondly, coming on a bus tour of potential locations for the MMIC and standing on the apron of the airport with Clive, looking down across farmland, across the river to do some Babcock on the beyond and thinking, wow, this is pretty bold. Let's do it. Let's do it. This is going to be good. And, you know, here we are on the journey, still very much on the journey. I think after an hour of that kind of quality of input and finding that often when I follow Dave, having listened to what Dave has said, what the members of the team have said, sometimes my best job is to try to consolidate that and to form some kind of summary. So let me just play back to you what I've heard this morning from the various speakers that we've had. Alex, you kicked us off with setbacks, unknowns and failures, the essentials of innovation. Dave, a worthy and adventurous mission and the alignment with the UK and Scottish Government's life sciences missions. Minister Lamont talked about the importance of working with common purpose and the output of this being giving people longer time in good health. Minister McKee, the skill of communicating the challenge, learning in a safe environment where mistakes have value, and sustainability being an essential, not an optional. We then moved on to hear Dave's full input on how our motivations are global and ambitious, the grand challenges and the transformation of technologies into robust, routine commercial use, and the potential to accelerate therapies for chronic diseases, and the resilience of practice that we need to be successful in doing that. We also have another non-negotiable, the inclusion of the regulator in this whole process and this process of innovation. And he left us with the open hand question. What kind of organisations are we? Are we those that want to listen and contribute and then to learn and to take the benefit of that? From our staff, some very personal stories, but a lovely phrase of the future yet to be described. And then from Clive, a reality check from the person who's been in it since the start, the relative position of UK medicines manufacturing in global terms, and a sense that this is timely, this is needed, and there's a real prize and economic benefit in harnessing these partnerships and collaborations. The opportunity and ambition we have for the Advanced Manufacturing Innovation District in Scotland, and the scale of the opportunity ahead of us, and the importance of harnessing useful learning. From Brian, again, a sense of reality. How are we going to use this centre? The projections are challenging, and we want to work with government on a longer-term vision to encourage this renaissance and the key role that innovation plays in that renaissance. 10 years hence, what will the manufacturing technologies that we need and how will they match that level of ambition? From the panel, learning enabled by the Grand Challenge model, modelling and simulation, harnessing the data that we can capture, and then maintaining the UK supply chain, continuing to do business here and keeping the industry attractive, bringing in new talent, bringing in new skills, and refreshing the industry in the UK. A catalyst to reverse the trends, perhaps, that we've been hearing about. Carbon footprint, again, not optional. Some remarkable statistics about the carbon footprint of the patient experience end to end, and an expectation that we will be able to commit and comment on the reduction of that carbon footprint, a non-negotiable, hence leaving a much longer-term legacy. Now, that's what I heard in that hour, and that's a powerful call to action. It's a powerful call to continue the great work that the team have been doing and to continue to enhance this incredibly powerful, motivating, and dynamic partnership. Let me add a couple of words of thanks from myself. Firstly, to the Supervisory Board, to Maureen, who chairs the Supervisory Board, and to all those who've contributed to it over time. Your contribution to good governance has been fabulous, and acting as a critical friend is the greatest support to me and to the Board of Directors at CPI that you could have offered. So thank you to the Supervisory Board. And of course, to my incredible staff at CPI, the contribution that they make. But there are a group of guys and girls in this room today who have made a remarkable contribution to the coming together of this event. And that's our marketing communications team, who are dotted around, hiding in the background. I'd like us all to please give them a huge round of applause because they've put in some incredible effort to get this all together. And Alex, I will hand back to you to close.
Thank you very much, Frank. Okay, I have a number of instructions for you, so please bear with me and I will release you to lunch. The first thing is what's going to happen next. So some of you are going to go on your tour and some of you are going to have lunch and then we're going to swap. So you will have lunch and you will have the opportunity to go on the tour. Now, can you just make a mental note, just bear with me, make a mental note of the groups that you're in, because the first few groups are going to go on the tour. So if you're in group one, if you look on your lanyard, on the badge, there should be a little number. If you're in group one, you're with Alan. Group two, you're with Chris. Group three, you're with Cameron. Group four, you're with Susan, okay? Groups 5, 6, and 7, and 8 stay here for lunch. And then we will switch over after the tour when they come back for lunch, and then the rest of you can go on the tour around the facility, which I highly recommend. That will be at 1:15, and we'll bring it all to a close at 2. So that's the first bit. The next thing is, on your badge as well, you should have a QR code. That QR code will give you things like the delegate list, videos and recordings of the presentations, and lots of information about the centre as well. The other thing I need to tell you about is, goodie bags. When you do eventually leave, you will have a gift bag, so make sure you pick up your gift bag as well. Right. So I think that now leaves just 2 things. First of all, can I please ask you to thank the team here at the Medicines Manufacturing Innovation Centre, the CPI Marketing Communications team that made it happen, and you're about to experience the catering company as well. Can you please thank the team here for making today happen? Can you also please thank the partners that have been here from the start, the new partners that Dave announced, the established partners, the panelists and the speakers today. Thank you very much for all your support. And finally, there's one last group of people to thank, and that is you. We have heard the word collaboration all day long today, and I think what we've gathered from all the presentations and the vision that needs to be achieved and the challenges that this facility is addressing, it is crystal clear that it is going to require people working with people and bringing their skills and their experience to the table, sometimes without knowing what the outcome's going to be. Sometimes without knowing what's going to be in it for them. So the fact that you have brought yourselves here today is an excellent start. And for those of you who are online as well, thank you for joining us. So I'm nearly finished, but before I finish, let's just thank you all for being here today. And I think my last thought, really sort of listening to the last couple of presentations there, Frank, and your summary of the whole day, it really got me thinking that 20 years ago, maybe 22 years ago, I started my journey in the industry, fresh out of my chemistry degree, straight into a commercial role. I was a pharmaceutical sales rep for a pharmaceutical company. And throughout my whole 15 years in the pharmaceutical industry, I thought the intellect and the innovation and the people you get to work with to bring a molecule to market, and in my case, to have the privilege of launching it to a market, was just the best, the absolute best. I told everybody what my job was. I was so proud to be in the industry. And today, I have now been my mind has been expanded into this new, exciting challenge that faces the entire industry that we're all part of. And for those of you who, like me, were not here at the start of the creation of the Medicines Manufacturing Innovation Centre, I hope you feel the same as me, that what a special opportunity it has been to be here today on this really important milestone. So thank you all for being here. Thank you for listening to all the presentations. Please enjoy your lunch, and your tour guides are behind you at the back. So have a good rest of the day.